Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching from different time zones, good morning or possibly good evening if you get to watch this on a later this day. So, my name is Marilyn. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS. And we are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive by co-creating customized programs with our world-class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony, ProLife UK, Ayala Group, Chevron, Tencent, Jollibee Foods Corporation, and Shell, to name a few. Expert says that the pandemic will last for the next 4 to 5 years, and this is why we are organizing several interventions, including this interview, to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt in the new normal. Those of you who find it stressful to lead and ensure performance of a remote team, and for those of you who are afraid that you can't keep your team and business to stay relevant and be able to lead effectively in any situation. So it's my great pleasure to be able to introduce our leader for today, Michael Netzley. Michael is affiliated faculty with IMD Business School and founder of Extend My Runway, or EMR, a longevity tech startup translating applied neuroscience into workforce talent solutions. EMR's pioneering approach helps people live and work better for longer. The programs use predictive analytics and personalized interventions to support brain health and enhance cognitive capabilities. Previously, Michael spent 15 years of the faculty on the faculty of Singapore Management University, or SMU, where he built successful career in teaching excellence and executive development. His broad executive portfolio spans communications, leaderships, innovation, and strategic change. Michael's work was recognized with the Champions Award for Innovative Course Design and Delivery from the Central and Eastern European Management Association, and the 2015 Best Case Award in Entrepreneurship from EFMD. Without so much further ado, I'd like to bring in Professor Netzley. Hi, Michael.
Hi,
So formal,
thank
right?
you. Thank you. You know, that's the kind of introduction that would make my mother very, very proud and my father very, very skeptical. So thank you for your kindness.
You're welcome. And it's my pleasure to have you today. And so we'll just start with the interview. Okay. Dive in. Okay. So the first three questions will, in fact, be around understanding your perspective on leadership in terms of your experience, as well as what next normal is for you. And then the next three question is, we would like to dig into your brains and learn from you. And the last two questions will be my Miss Universe questions.
World peace. So.
World peace, yes. So to start with, we would like to understand where you're coming from, in fact. So please do share with us your leadership experience and influencers, or possibly your leadership style, if you'd like to share, and who influenced you, perhaps.
Sure. Well, my answer is probably kind of unusual. And I'd say that there have been three primary influences in how I approach leadership. I grew up in a pretty conservative community, as Anabaptist community. And well, folks have never heard of this, I'm what's called a Mennonite. And so it's a very strong mind your own business kind of an outlook on the world. Put your head down, work hard, take care of yourself, don't get mixed up in other people's business. So I'm pretty independent. But then middle of my career, I had just two truly phenomenal leaders, a gentleman by the name of Jerry Reinhardt at the University of Minnesota, and Dave Montgomery at SMU, who's also tenured faculty at Stanford. And what I saw here was leadership without ego. So that for me opened up the possibility that you don't have to just stay out of other people's business. You can get out there and you can help, but you can do it in a humble way that actually serves other people. So that they to this day continue to be guiding lights for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also had some really horrible professional experiences, and I've learned everything that I don't want to be. And if I were going to sum that up, it is you've got to take ego out of leadership. If you are not helping other people do what they need to do, get out of the way. So that's kind of what's brought me to where I'm at today and into the startup.
Oh, I love that. No wonder you're also an entrepreneur yourself. I mean, uh, believing in mind your own business mindset, and also even some of the people I've known whom introduced you mentioned as well, like how nice you are. So that is living what you've said, leadership without ego.
You have to. You absolutely have to. The amount of harm that I think, let's just call it the dark triad.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of harm that brings into organizations is, well, I think it's one of the major leadership challenges. We just have too much at that in leadership positions.
True, I totally agree with you on that. And so, having said that, you have both good experiences and bad experiences with other leaders as well. So, what is leadership for you?
Leadership is what other people put into you. Leaders are vessels. Now, I know that is completely contrary to what the leadership genre is going. You've got to be this, you've got to do that. That's secondary. Leadership is what others put into you. So that may be the people who are granting to you that leadership status. And so they may be putting their hopes and their ambition and their good vibes into you. But you may also have people putting their fears and their reservations and their skepticism and their anger into you. So leaders are vessels. Organizations are going to put strategy and aspirations into those same leaders. So again, leaders are vessels. Only then do we get around to the stuff that modern day leadership talks about, which is, okay, once they put that into you, what do you do? And so based on that first answer, I tend to be more in that sort of constructive servant sort of a mode, more so than the authoritarian, so to speak.
Yes, and I think it's gone are the days when leaders are actually like directing everything, and like you said, authoritarian, because to be a leader you have to serve others, right?
Absolutely, because what's the point of somebody putting something into you, whether it's a hope or a fear, and all you do is think about yourself, or primarily think about yourself? The math doesn't add up. 2 plus 2 equals 2.5 in that equation. So leaders are vessels, and that I think we have got to get our head around in this crazy world we live in today.
Totally agree with you on that. And so we just move a little bit in terms of like a different perspective on leading, right? How would you actually define and describe the next normal? Because we've been hearing a lot of new normal, next normal, whatever it is, and like how it's actually integrated, or how leadership affects or how you can actually be a good leader in this next normal. So in that case, how would you define or describe the next normal?
I think every coin has two sides. And so for me, the first side is the new normal is a complete myth. There is no such thing as a new normal. We would like there to be, because it gives us a sense of stability and clarity. But things are fluid. They're going to keep changing. There is not a new normal. Now, having said that, the other side of that coin is that not everything is in flux. There are points of stability we can turn to. And so I think back to some work that I was first introduced to from Harvard Business School. There's a brilliant case on the 33 and the Chilean mining disaster. And that case really brought it to the forefront of my mind for me. And that those two anchors are that today, as leaders, we are executing the existing business. All right. We've still got to capture every ounce of value we can out of our existing business. But simultaneously, we're also innovating what tomorrow is going to be. And this isn't adding more to my job. It is your job. This is the reconstitution of your job today. And so leaders have got to be ambidextrous and be able to handle both of these. And that's, that's critical.
True. I agree with you. It's basically being adaptable to the changes that happens, which is constant, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Things are going to remain fluid and they're going to accelerate. They're going to feel more fluid. But again, you still have your existing business to your existing clients you have to deliver. So that tension between the existing and the innovating, I think is if not the centerpiece of leadership today, it's got to be a top three.
Sure. Correct. I agree with you. So from your experience as a corporate leader and also working with corporate leaders, I mean, you've done a lot of executive coaching and teaching as well and consulting. So what would you say is the top three problems that they normally face?
Right. So just thinking about this, let's say in the 2020s, all right, we'll keep it simple. I think number one is that transition from being in control and being the know-it-all to being collaborative and becoming the learn-it-all. I think that is one of the major challenges we're facing. The second one I've already listed, the over-indexing of dark triad behaviors in leadership positions. Now, moderate traits, let's say moderate narcissism, is not necessarily bad. It can be a profound motivator, and the fact that it's moderate means that person may well be astute enough to not cross lines. But it's the high levels of these dark triad behaviors that really run counter to what we've been talking about, which is, as leaders, you're a vessel. The context today is fluid. We've got to become know-it-alls. So the ego, in fact, there's some amazing research from a year ago from University of Minnesota. Ego gets in the way with this. So two is those dark triad traits. And I think the more recent one is adjusting to the hybrid workforce today. You know, how do you give somebody a performance conversation over Zoom while the next employee happens to be in the office this week and you're going to do it face-to-face? Very simple example, but this, again, changing nature of work is going to be another major challenge we face.
True. I totally agree. And a lot of leaders that I've had conversation with had really difficulty with handling the remote working and the new normal now, as I would say it, or most people would say it, because we did not get used to this, right? The control part that you mentioned earlier, that's what they're missing out. And in fact, like you said, the key is actually collaboration, right?
Yes.
In that case, yeah. So to be able to adapt to that and to collaborate, and face this as it is, right?
Well, it changes the nature of the employees you hire. Instead of hiring employees who are seeking certainty and are glad to take that top-down instruction, now you need some independence. Now you need some comfort with uncertainty, and people who are a little more willing to roll up their sleeves and just go for it because it keeps the business moving forward. So the profile of people that we will be leading, hence also who we're hiring, is going to be shifting through this period as well, and we're going to have to adjust to that. It's exciting, I think.
True. And I think that's when organizations and leaders makes it successful when they find it exciting or like a new adventure to
Yeah.
experience, right? That's
Work is
what
fun again. Yeah.
exactly. So that's what make good leaders or great leaders adapt in the new normal because they find it exciting, like what you've said, right? So
Absolutely.
having said that, what are the important leadership capabilities or skills you must have in the next normal to continue to lead effectively?
So I was thinking about this, and again, call me prof. I set up tensions rather than answers.
Mhm.
So the first one I came up with is I think there's a tension between humility and confidence.
Mhm.
Humility, realizing that the team on the ground, as they're experimenting and iterating on something brand new, they're going to know more than you. But
Mhm.
you've got to have the confidence to make decisions, push forward.
Mhm.
Um, so you've got that tension of humility and confidence. Another
Mhm.
one's going to be curiosity and decision making. Very, very similar, because again, we're moving into challenges that the world has never seen before. Digital transformation, we've never seen this. Aging workforces and populations, we've never seen this. So you're
Mhm.
not going to get answers from books and courses. You're going to
Yeah,
have to be curious, but yet you've got to be able to make decisions. So,
exactly.
and the third one I already gave you, which was the execute today and innovate for tomorrow. And so these are just going to be constant tensions. And given the project, given the company or industry that you're in, you're going to move on these scales a bit. But I think those are three of the major capabilities is we've got to be able to scale on these tensions and
Mhm.
figure out what's needed today. Adapt, as you said.
Right, right. I totally agree with you on that. So, what do you believe is the role of learning? Because you've mentioned, to be continuously curious about it, and of course, as we all know, learning will be important and key in being able to adapt. All the time, right? No matter what the condition is. So, having said that, what do you believe is the role of learning, leadership, and transformation in being able to thrive in the next normal?
I've got sort of 3 points on that one. And the first one is that there will still be a role for classic learning. It's never going to go away. But that role, I think, in the 2020s is shrinking, which we don't need to spend as much time in the classroom. And we've perhaps over-indexed on creating this entire ecosystem of rock stars who are pushing great content into our employees.
Mhm.
I think we're over-indexed there because number two, to win in the 2020s, you're going to have to learn faster and better than the competition.
Mhm.
So that is going to be learning in the flow of work. Some super simple examples. A/B testing is learning.
Mhm.
Experimentation and rapid iteration is learning. Okay, if you turn to tools such as design thinking and the empathy processes, that's learning.
Mhm.
So these things are going to be embedded in the flow of work, and we're
Mhm.
going to need to do them rapidly because learning faster, better is the competitive advantage. But that leads me to point three, which is where Extend My Runway and my startup comes in, is that the mere fact that we put great knowledge in someone's head does not mean that they do a good job of processing that knowledge. So it's kind of like a computer. When you upgrade the software on an old computer, it bogs down, right? We've also got to invest in the processor. And with an aging population and aging workforce, this has never been more important. And especially when we consider that over the next couple of decades, that portion of the population is going to double to more than 2 billion people globally. It's a huge issue. So neuroscience, and in the same way we go to the gym and do curls or we go jogging and we strengthen our muscles, we've got to strengthen the brain because all of that great knowledge going into the head of people who are stressed out, dehydrated, under-rested, underfed, you're not going to get very much value out of that. So we've got to start building better processors. And I think that L&D, they haven't caught on yet. That one's a ways away.
True. I totally agree with you, because I think sometimes people still see learning or investing in their learning as a cost rather than an investment, right? So I think like what you've said, it's all about not just upgrading the software but also the processors for us to be able to execute it smoothly, right?
Can I give you a quick example just to illustrate why your point is so important, why that learning has to continue? So my generation, I'll admit it, I turned 55 this year, okay? My generation was educated thinking that we go get our bachelor's degree. Some of us will get a master's degree, but that, add an executive course or 2 or 3 to that, and you're through the end of your career. Well, now that I realize I'm working at least another 20 years, okay, it's back to life. I'm actually going through a very costly and energy-intensive experience now where I am rewriting my operating system. So I'm getting a second master's degree, this time in neuroscience. I am effectively doing exactly the equivalent with behavioral economics and how people are actually irrational. And it is rewriting in my mind the way I think about people, and hence the way we respond to them and we support them. The amount of work and energy it is to rewrite that operating system is mind-boggling. And I could not agree with you, Marilyn, strong enough. Take that continuous learning seriously, turn it into a constant evolution, because if you don't, you're going to be in the boat I'm in, and it is a lot of work.
True. It's like what I've said to one of the clients I have conversation with. It's about paying now or paying more later.
Paying more later. Now, my whole generation's doing that, but your generation has the opportunity to look at folks like me and go, I don't want to be like that.
True. I agree with you with that. So now we move to the Miss Universe questions. And the first one would be, yes. If you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do?
I'm not allowed to say world peace.
You just said that, and I would love to have that as well.
Honestly, for me, it's a tough choice. Would I want to improve the investment in our children, knowing health and exercise and nutrition and sleep and stress management, knowing the lifetime benefits of that? Or conversely, would I look at the older generation and go, we need to appreciate the amazing gift that they've been given with 30 additional years of longevity, and what's the opportunity in this? Obviously, I've chosen the latter. That's what Extend My Runway is doing. So I'll wave the wand. We're going to focus on the older generation and unlocking all those gifts of longevity.
That's good. I love that. I mean, a lot of organizations do struggle with that. Part of that, I would say, is bleeding knowledge management. I've read an article on that, and because they don't get to optimize and maximize those senior leaders, and they just let them go just like that. I think we also have that conversation when we had coffee once, right? It's like, they have a lot of knowledge, they have a lot of experience, and they already have the emotional intelligence and all the human skills that they need to excel in leadership. And yet, because of age, they have to be let go, right? And what will it's gonna be amazing if they actually, like what you've said, extend their runway, right?
You
through
know,
that.
yeah, they're older. In your 50s is when you peak at innovation. It's
Mhm.
not your late 20s or early 30s, and yet we're letting these people walk out. I would say that this is the world's biggest brain drain. The fact that we practice ageism and let these
Mhm.
people or force these people to walk out the
Mhm.
door.
True, true. And that's gonna be really valuable for a lot of organization if they learn how to do that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my thank
Second
you for
one?
that. So the second question is, if you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? And if you could, share with us why, feel free to do so.
Sure. I had two, but I'm going to choose the question about how can I make better use of the brain God gave me? It's as simple as that. And I am so blown away, excited, motivated to bring to market on Wednesday of next week. All of these discoveries that neuroscience have uncovered about what happens to our brain in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's a story to be proud of. There are amazingly powerful reasons to keep older
Mhm.
employees in the workforce and leverage them. And if I were going to say, here's the question you need to ask me, it's going to be that question about tell me all the amazing things the older brain can do.
Wow, that's amazing and exciting at the same time. I mean, um, it's gonna be very soon, next week, right? Wednesday, like.
Wednesday, I can't tell you where we're opening, but we're opening in a co-innovation space,
Oh
and we're
wow.
building an artificial intelligence engine to basically learn about you
Mm-hmm.
and say, here's what you need to do this week to improve your brain performance. And the intent is we'll see better workplace performance, we'll see better productivity, we'll see, hopefully, revenues and margins go up. Hopefully, job engagement goes up. But this is the intent: is to use brain science to build a better workplace.
You just mentioned like it will help you like or guide you in terms of like what you should focus on or do next week. Did I hear it right?
You will get a digital nudge
No.
every day,
Mm-hmm.
and so what we call our Cortex AI. That's our
Mm-hmm.
fancy name for it. The
Okay.
Cortex AI will learn about you, it will adapt to you, and it will predict, based upon the data we have and what you're doing today, what
Mm-hmm.
is the best thing for you to focus on today. And so
Oh,
by
okay.
doing this over a period of, say, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, you're sort of very slowly in tiny steps, incrementally improving, rather than sticking people in a classroom and say, we're going to do it all in 2 days. It's
Oh,
just sort of
yay.
this drip, 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 which complements classic learning.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, like, from the conversations I had recently with, leaders from around the globe as well, like a lot of them do struggle with like, prioritizing and focus because there's so much thing to do. There's so much noise everywhere, and it's like, where should I start? And a lot of requests are on prioritizing, time management, name it, right?
Yep,
And it's
yep.
good that through these it will give them like small steps at a time on what to do, what to prioritize and focus on until it becomes a habit, right? That's why
All
it's
we're
called
doing
small
is
habits,
helping you
I would
make
say,
a better choice.
to make
All we're
better.
doing is helping you make a better choice. And once you make that better choice and have some success with it, you'll remember it and you're
Mhm.
more likely to do it again.
Oh,
No
amazing, amazing.
preaching, no pushing, but every day, one tiny thing to make you a little bit better. And we're going to supercharge it with AI. Simple as that.
And I think I believe that's the fastest way to succeed as well, right? Whatever your goal is. Because I remember this photo one of my friend shared in Facebook, and then he said, like, what can you say about it? So the left ladder has small steps, and the other ladder has like huge steps in between. So I said, are you saying, based on this picture, that if you just take that small consistent step, like especially for entrepreneurs like us, right? That means you can actually get to the top and succeed faster rather than
Yep,
trying to do everything at once and you can't even reach it, right? So it's all about like
absolutely.
chunking in those small steps, like you've mentioned.
You are spot on, and that is so. If we go back to BJ Fogg, all right,
Mm-hmm.
make it tiny and make it easy.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There you go, and that's it.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing all those information. I really appreciate all your spot on and direct and very helpful tips. I mean, you're making it simple for everyone, right?
That's the goal. Make it tiny, make it easy. So that's our goal.
Correct, correct. Thank you so much for that, Michael, and thank you everyone for watching. Is there anything more before we end this interview? Is there anything more that you'd like to add or invite our viewers for?
If you want to learn more about the brain, check out the new book from David Eagleman called Live Wired. Live
Live
Wired.
wire. Mhm.
There you go. That's a great starting point to learn more about the brain. And I'm sure he's got lots of podcast interviews you could start with today.
David, can you repeat that again?
Eagleman. So eagle like the bird and man,
Mhm.
Eagleman.
So
Um,
hopefully I've actually spelled this correctly.
you got it. You
Live
got it.
Wire by
Yep.
David Eagleman. So this is a book recommendation from you to learn more about the brain.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for being so generous with all your insights and your sharing. And yeah, this is all, again, like I've mentioned, the purpose why we're doing this is we want leaders to be able to adapt and to be able to lead effectively. Like you said, it takes a lot of it gives a lot of effects as well around you, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So feel free to contact us, or I put below the website as well. We've run a summit where you've actually did a keynote as well, and we're continuously offering that because it has so much value, a lot of evergreen lessons from the summit, and we wanted to have like more continuous intervention because that's important, like what you've said. There has to be like some regular interventions, like in your case the daily ones, daily nudges. But then in our case we will have like a regular monthly based intervention. And learning is a continuous process, like what we've said.
Yep.
And it takes a process, it takes a journey, it takes several interventions to really have that sustainable outcome. So with that, thank you again, Michael, and I'd like to leave everyone with this quote from Dolly Parton: if your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye for now and stay
Thanks.
safe.